Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday and Christmas, it's Warhammer. Yeah. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Joining me as always, my co-host Tom. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Merry Christmas, friends.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, whether it be a Honda or Chrysler household, whatever you happen to do. So the today we're just gonna be hanging out. I'll be honest with you, it's Christmas Day. It's not really like any big plans for today. We're gonna keep this a short show, but it'll be an earlier show, so everybody who's in other parts of the world, hopefully, you get a chance. I suppose as usual, except for Australia. They get the short end of the stick here. It's always either early in the morning for them, or now when they're sleepy time. So there you go.
Well, they're just probably staying up late playing with toys.
Yeah, well, I one can only hope. So Tom, have you opened your Christmas presents yet?
Some of them. We're not doing our family Christmas till this evening.
Okay.
Um, but I did get a new airbrush hood.
Okay. Nice.
I had the same one for 10 years, and like this new one has like built-in LEDs, and
Oh,
so
there you go.
like it
Wow.
is it is such a big upgrade from what I had. Like as soon as I used it, I was like, oh, oh. I had no idea what I was missing. And then I got the awesome light set as well.
Very nice.
The
Yeah, mine doesn't even. My airbrush hood doesn't even. Yeah, these lights. These.
Yes, yes, those. I'm so excited. Yes.
It's great lights. I'm telling you, man. Once you use these, you're gonna be like, oh, I have been painting blind for my entire life. It
Well, I have
is.
like two LED like
I
lamps that
understand, but
stand
I'm telling you, man, it's
independently.
so different. It's
Yeah.
so different. You get a beautiful halo of light. Like that Game Envy Lucent. I really like. Yes, I have a relationship with the Game Envy guys. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That
Yeah.
is to say, like, of course, I have an affiliate link with them and stuff. But honestly, if I didn't, I would still tell everybody to buy this thing just as much. It's so stupidly good. Like once
Uh,
I got one, I was like, oh, this is like ridiculously better.
my wife used your code, and she was like, I died
Hey,
a
all
little bit.
right.
She was like, I died a little bit inside when I had to type in his name for the bonus code.
That's harsh. Come on now. I'm saving her money. To help, I'm helping you get Christmas gifts cheaper. No, but like at any rate, it's just a nice bonus that they are such a good company. But anyways, this isn't about that. Um,
I haven't set mine up yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Good. The uh, For me, I haven't opened. I did like the stocking thing with Kathy last night, so that's all.
Nice.
So at any rate, yes, absolutely, Cygnus, a joyous Festivus to all of us. Tom and I, don't worry. The airing of the grudges will come later. When he gets here in person, that's when we'll do the feats of strength. Um, but at any rate, I don't. I'm not pulling out much hope for Tom in the feats of strength department. There, he's going to be a rough time for him. So, at any rate, let's do some news, shall we? Let's do a little bit. We got a little
Sure.
bit of news.
Well, I woke up this morning to a beautiful new model.
Yeah, we were all given a gift of sorts today. A gift that's going to cost
Indeed.
us money, but it's a gift nonetheless. Mr.
Yep.
Fulgrim. I had asked recently, how have they not just like gone on a spree of making these guys, like just bringing back all the Primarchs?
Yeah.
And yeah, so well, we got one more here. So what'd you think of this guy overall?
I mean, I'll say this. I know that a lot of people are hating on the heads. Like, I love the new Fulgrim model. Like, I
Okay.
don't play 40K, and I saw this and I was like, I'm in. Now that said, it makes me want to make like an entire family
Okay.
of like Marathi babies, right?
Oh,
Because
sure,
all
sure.
like they're all sculpted almost identical to Marathi, which is great.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. I love it. I love the Fulgrim model. Yeah, it's great. Oh,
Well, let me do a couple quick shouts here. First off, 52 miniatures in the chat. What's up, 52 miniatures? How you doing, buddy? I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas and happy New Year and wonderful time. We watched many. Sam and I, when we were hanging out, we put many of your videos on while we were painting. I want you to know that it's great stuff. If you're not already checking out 52 Miniatures, you should do so. Constantinos coming in with the super chat. Hey, Constantinos, Dino, hope you're doing well. Merry Christmas, friends. Lots of love from this side of the world to both of you. Lots of love right back to the best IDK player in the world. Absolutely. But hit like, hit subscribe, do all those things. Merry Christmas. And yes, super chat's there. Don't worry, we did hit the Tom Gets a New Microphone fund. We got that, so now it's just the Christmas fund for today. We'll figure out something else for the future for it to be.
Well, we'll see. Allegedly, we hit that fund. I haven't seen any mic. That's all I'm saying.
You have not yet. I literally asked you for your address before we went online so I could send it to you today.
Allegedly. Although we did have a funny thing as an aside. This earlier, like as we were setting up, apparently when I turned on my Discord, it grabbed the microphone from my iPhone. And as I was walking around, Vince had to listen to the microphone in my pocket, like grind against my jeans as I walked through the house.
Yes, for like 10 minutes as he was screwing around with stuff. So I was like, boy, if there was ever a time. Yeah, at any rate, I'll tell you on this Fulgrim, a potato on a stick will be arriving in the post, Tom. Exactly. On this Fulgrim thing, I like a lot of him. Full kudos to the painters for making some bold choices. I love this, like, reflected turquoise light up under the tips of his wings for, like, just no reason. Just they were like, well, it's too dark up there, so we'll just put some light under there. Which is a great choice. Very, very, like, just artsy-fartsy for no reason, and I'm here for it. And the... I like the various arms and stuff like that. I like the design. I got two issues. I do think his face looks a little too gaunt. I know there's like different faces and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just think he looks prettier in the 30K version, and I do like him being a little pretty. And I mean, I know he's like a demon and whatever, and I'm sure 10,000 years in the warp will age you a little bit. Probably not a great skincare routine. But like, I don't know. I like the other face better. I'm sorry. There it is. I'll actually say my biggest thing is I don't like his little smooth, like slug belly. I wish it was segmented like Marathi. Okay. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That is an interesting choice because the old one is segmented.
Yeah. Marathi
I
the
actually
old one
looked
is.
At the other.
Yeah.
I looked at the Forge World one, and it is segmented identically.
It has the standard snaky tummy. Yeah, it has snaky tummy. And so, like, it's just a weird choice that they made it like this smooth, like sluggy tummy. So that's the only thing I'm not sure about. I think I like it better with the snaky segmentation. Other than that, I think it's a really beautiful model. So, I mean, good stuff, as always. I have the 30K one actually. He's like sitting in a box when I for some time when I want to really just destroy my sanity. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll do both of them. I'm not sure how big they are compared to each other. That'll be interesting.
Well, and that's what I would love to know. Like, could this fit on a Demon Prince base for AOS? To be like a Slaanesh Demon Prince.
Sure. I mean, like, clearly that base is bigger than a Demon Prince's one, but that's not to say you couldn't make it fit. Like,
just saying, it's not like a Demon Princes are going to be anything else but Slaanesh from here on out.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody suddenly, now that Slaanesh gives you 3d6 charge, you know what I mean? Like, it's everybody's finding our Lord and Savior.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably modeled off more like a Seeker. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Which does have the smooth little belly and the little spines and stuff. Yeah, I agree. It's there. It's just like, I just would have preferred the snake thing is what I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't understand how they got there. I'm saying I wish they didn't make that choice. There's a difference.
Indeed.
At any rate, what else we got?
They opened back up the old world made to order stuff.
Yeah, for the Empire. That's right. So the War Wagon and which has been remastered with like new horses and stuff like that, and looks nice. I love the War Wagon. I still have 2 War Wagons. So that was cool to see that thing coming back. And then they also put out like the you could made to order the General on Griffin and the General on Pegasus or whatever, both of which, woof, they did not remaster, and they specifically said are like still in metal, and you should pin them. Yeah, that's a choice. Those models, oh boy, and then some of the other like characters and leader groups as well. But the War Wagon coming back was super cool. I thought that was neat.
Did you see the conversation about the Empire of Man? Like, so the other announcement in that was, in addition to a bunch of old kits coming back, obviously, with the Old World release, they're bringing back a remastered version of the Luminarch.
Yeah, the ones with where they don't say Karl Franz on them. Yeah, they removed it and removed some of the symbols and the Karl Franz iconography and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep. So technically, that's an AOS release, right? Technically.
Sure, technically, absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm excited about those. I mean, I hate the models, but I'm excited about them.
I always liked I thought the Luminarch and I mean, they're silly things, but like they felt appropriately silly, right?
They're fine, is what I would say. They're fine.
So yeah, exactly. Like I have no problem with them. Big giant cool magic gun is cool, right? So it's fine.
Yeah. Well, the Huracan, like painting that thing is a mess, is what I would say. Like, the double assemblies that have to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All the weird little, all the balls. You gotta watch out. Too many balls. Absolutely. High ball ratio on that one. All right.
Yep.
What else we got? We have one AOS thing.
Yeah, one AOS-ish thing. And then also the Galen and Doralia Van Denst Outnumbered. Which is a kind of a diorama.
Sort of. You could position them separately or together. They do come with individual bases as well.
Do you like this set of Van Denst better than the originals?
No.
I don't either. Like, I saw that and I was like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, no, I think this look, I don't want to insult anybody, so I don't know. I'm just gonna say I don't think I'm gonna be nice, but like I just don't think this is up to snuff on the previous models.
Agreed. The previous models were just so evocative and had so much attitude, and like they were open and they were great, and I just don't get that here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like she herself really, I think, has some issues. Like her face is highly questionable, and I don't know. It just feels like this feels like it wasn't sculpted or painted with as much care as the
originals
pair. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know. I don't know the inside story of it. I don't know anything about it. I like that the old man has a bunch of cool tats. That's fun. But like, yeah. No. That's gonna be a no. I do appreciate that his belt must weigh like 5,000 pounds. He has like multiple pistols, a full-size axe, and a full-size sword, all strapped to his belt.
Yep.
He has like 40 pounds on his belt.
There was a hatted head on the original Doralia. Is there a similar one for the original Galen?
Yeah, he has a hat in the.
Do they?
Yes,
okay.
he has a hat.
So they both have alternate heads.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think I like the old ones, if I'm being honest.
Sure. Says this is because these ones represent a part of the book where they get caught without their field clothes. Yeah, which is fine. That's all fine. I'm not angry about their outfits, honestly. I don't mind the lack of hat. Like, it's okay. That's not a big deal breaker for me. It's more like the face sculpting, especially on her, the detail sculpting on some of the robe, and then the painting resolution on some of this, which that's not anything. That's just like, that's good. Yeah. You're going to paint it yourself, not them. But like, yeah, there's a couple of just areas on here. Again, I'm trying not to like, I don't want to be down on anything. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Cygnus says, don't forget that tiny pouch on the front, Vince. It's full of lead. Yeah, that's also a lead pouch, which even though that's small, is going to be fairly heavy since it's full of shot. Yes.
Sure.
Strength Hammer, what's up, Chuck? He says, have to watch back later, but popping on to wish you Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and yours, Chuck. I hope you're doing well, brother. All right. So, yeah, and I think that's basically all the news. It was a quiet week, obviously, because it's Christmas. There's one big news item, the Fulgrim thing, and that was really what they hoped to blast out today on Christmas. And it seems like they're successful. So, that's fine. All right. Let's talk about some pick of the week. Tom, what do you want to share with everybody? What you want to broadcast?
Yeah, there's been a lot of solid content up. This is a little bit late, but
You're okay.
Ninjon did his Christmas buying guide this year. So again, and so if any of you have a little bit extra cash on the other side of Christmas from gifts, feel free to check it out. I have some wonderful suggestions for hobby purchases.
Very nice. For myself, we're going to shout out Jugs, the podcast, as that also had their Christmas episode today went up. So Louise and Rob and Peachy all hanging out. I watched a little bit of it before we started here. But yeah, check it out. It's very fun as usual. The gang is having a good time, and it's more Christmas cheer for you on this wonderful holiday. Okay. So check them out. Everything will be linked down below. Well, with a very quick pick of the week out of the way, we both actually had things ready to go. Let's talk about some hobby time. Tom, what have you been working on?
It's a great question. Well, I've been building models like I've just had a backlog of things that need to be built. And so I've been working on that for longer than I want to admit. I have all the spearheads built now.
Okay.
Like in the case, they're not all primed yet, but they're all at least built. And then I've pulled aside my Skaven that I'm going to be using for Holy Wars in February. And so all that is built, and I'm starting to prime that. And then I finished up the commission that I was working on this week. So very,
Nice.
very busy. And then list building, but we might talk about that later.
Yeah,
But
we'll talk about
lots
that later. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, I'm working on a fun project. It's just like for me, this is just something I've wanted to paint for a while. So it's this guy right here. This is this bust. It's from Mindworks Games. His name is Jericho. Yeah, or something like that. I don't know. Is that his name? Probably. It's from Mindwork. Okay, so here you go. Is this dude? And I'm just having fun. We're just getting into the skin of it all, as you can see. So I love painting skin. This guy's basically all skin. And so I'm just having a great time. I really like how he's turning out. We're just playing with tones right now. And yeah, all in all, it's coming together. So that's been my little fun project for myself. So yeah, then I finished up. What else did I do? Oh, I hung out with John on Friday. Finished up my unit of Giselles for my Skaven, so they're good to go. So now what I have left out of the Skaventide box, Tom, and I've painted a little bit outside of the box. Okay, so that is to say I worked on some of the other kits instead. But with the Skaventide box, the only character I finished up my Grayseer. He'll be in a video coming up. So the only thing I have left in that main box is the rat on a rat, right? So in other words, the boss guy who he's so bad, I really am struggling to find the motivation to paint him. You know what I mean? He's really beautiful, like as a model. That's why I want to paint him. But like, I know he will literally never get played, and I'm trying to get stuff done for Holy Wars in spring.
I was trying so hard last night. I was working on Skaven, like a 2,000 point like Skaven melee list, like seeing if I could put one together that wasn't Molder, right? Like to doing a Verminous like leaning
No,
into it.
that's
And guess
where you're
what?
going wrong. It's Molder if you
I
want
know.
melee.
I understand. I understand. But I was trying to give it a try. You know, like
Yeah, sure.
you have to give it a test drive.
Sure.
And that dude wasn't even on the radar. Like
No.
even doing that, he wasn't even in the conversation.
No, absolutely not. Um, like, yeah, we'll talk about it in stuff we're trying out when we get to the sort of the main segment of just like 2025 plans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but so all that's left for me now is that dude and then a bunch of clan rats. Like too many clan rats still. That's the issue. Those guys just take a while.
Mhm.
But I'm very close to having my first unit of clan rats done. So like half of the clan rats done. Um, so I'll the point is I'll be more than ready for Holy Wars in the um, in the spring. I guess it's technically the spring, probably maybe end of winter, whatever. I don't know something. Um, and the I guess it's end of winter technically. The and thank you since Tom you decided our basing scheme. I did reach out to Anthony, and he was like, "Yeah, I can hook you up. Just tell me what you need." So I'm gonna send him a list of numbers and base sizes. So there you go.
You're welcome.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. Like it's you solved my choice paralysis is what it comes down to. So
Yep.
that's cool. Okay. Well, let's turn to today's sort of quasi main topic. As we do so, uh, hey, if you haven't hit like yet or subscribed or click things that make dings, you should do that. We're here on Christmas. It's fun. Yeah, do all that stuff, and don't forget super chats there. It's just a Merry Christmas super chat today if you do it. Just a holiday gift. Nothing more, nothing less. So, but thank you all for watching. Glad everybody's here today. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Merry Christmas, a happy holiday. If you don't celebrate, I hope you're just having a really nice Wednesday, and or first day of Hanukkah this year. I believe Hanukkah, right, is the starts today on Christmas. Ironically, I think that's right. Um, so there you go. Ole said play Spearhead, then you need to play him. Yeah, that's the
It's
other
true.
reason I do want to get him painted up, so I have the Spearhead done, because he's the only thing stopping me from having the Spearhead done as well. Um, so, I mean, I will paint him. I will paint him. With the Gray Seer, I have multiples of them. Like, I have multiple Scaventide boxes, okay? And, like, certain
Yeah.
things out of there will get completely painted. Like, I will absolutely be painting the other three Rat Ogres. I love the new Rat Ogres so much. They are
Yeah.
fun. They are awesome. They look cool as. I will absolutely be painting the other three Giselles. Okay, like that kind of stuff. I will absolutely be painting a second Grey Seer. Um, will I ever paint the second Lord on Brood Terror? Probably not. Probably not. That guy's gonna he's gonna be a sprue for a little while. So at any rate, all right. Let's turn to our main topic. Just some holiday cheer. I got a couple fun pieces of art here. Just to have up while we're chit chatting. So I just wanted to kind of talk through a couple things, Tom. So obviously we had the big battle scroll stuff, right?
Yep.
And unaided foot, thank you very much for the super chat, much appreciated. Happy holidays to you. Traven with the super chat as well, saying, "Hey, Merry Christmas! Thanks for all your vids. You really helped me a lot. That's wonderful to hear. Very happy to hear that. Thank you to both of you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays." Um, okay, so, Tom, let's talk about just general stuff. How'd you feel this year was for you overall, hobby wise? Did you accomplish what you wanted?
No, I mean it was fairly lackluster. Like what I'll say is this: it was fine. I painted a wonderful Cruel Boys army. My
Sure.
event attendance was like the first half of the year suffered from end of edition paralysis. Like that's
Yeah,
always the
yeah.
challenge, right?
You're very
Um,
much afflicted by that, yes.
I am like when we're approaching the end of edition, nothing gets painted. Um, and then uh, I did like the good news is this: uh, our household painted 2,000 points of destruction because both
Our
my
household. Okay.
indeed. Well, but here's the good news, right? Like, and this is the accomplishment is that like my son and I did our first event, which was great. Got him jazzed up and energized on his Iron Jaws. And so we're going to be doing RTTs locally. Um,
Yep.
which is, and so it's like I'm excited for that, and that has infused more hobbies. So I finished one commission. I started a second, like, very large commission, started a second very large commission, um finished a small one. So I mean, I did work, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a successful hobby year. You're right. Here's what I'll say. Um, like, I think it's a very successful hobby year for you, if for nothing else, than your son went to a tournament with you
right,
and had a good
right.
time, right?
Yep,
That right there is a huge success. You've successfully fostered the next generation of Warhammer players. So your son will play a lot up
yep,
until the point where he goes to college. Then he'll
yep,
quit for some number of
yep.
years. Then he'll
And
come
then come
back.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how it works. I mean, so much so that, like, he was begging to be ringer for Holy Wars.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he was
sure.
trying to come next month, but that probably is not going to happen. So all of that to say, though, yes, it was a successful hobby year. I mean, I did, like, collect and build every spearhead in the game.
It's pretty good.
Like, that also happened this year, right? So um, yeah, I would say it's been successful.
Absolutely. Darka or Darkja, I'm not sure. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but whatever. Said, so I recently got a Sylvaneth army. I just couldn't. By the way, if people have questions and stuff, just throw them out there. Just throw stuff in the chat. We'll answer all of them today. We're just hanging out. We're just talking about like plans and stuff. So this is a very super chill holiday stream. So drop your stuff. I recently got a Sylvaneth army. I just couldn't resist Alariel and Belthanos. Actually, they're a huge bug. It's just too cool. Have you started an army based on a single couple of models? Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
KO, sight unseen, like, of
Sure.
rules. Just bought the entire range.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, I think that the original Sylvaneth actually would fit in the same category. I saw Lariel and I was like, well, I'm getting that army. And I pre ordered the whole thing. Um, like there's always been, oftentimes it's more than one model, but I think sometimes even one has pulled me in. Uh, King Cool, wait, I have caught a live Warhammer Weekly. First time for everything. Holiday greetings from Sweden. Yes, holiday greetings right back to you there. Hope everything in Sweden is wonderful. Okay. Um, oh yes, that's right. I heard that in some places in the world the main celebration happens on like the 24th, whereas the 25th is more of like a chill day. I think Sweden is one of those places. So yeah, that's I it's because a couple people reached out to me, were like, hey, if you need a guest, like I can. We don't celebrate on the 25th or whatever, so that's cool. Um, so yeah, for me, my year, I would say overall, I would rate it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. I made some progress through my Skaven, not as much as I wanted, but I certainly did get my. I'm in a good place in my new army. I painted a good number of display figs. I feel like I really leveled up my painting to some degree. I've achieved some things with display figures this year I haven't in previous years, though it wasn't like a great year for me in competition at all. But that happens sometimes. That's fine. I've been on that trajectory where I am painting better than I think I ever have, and yet generally have done like not as good in competitions. So life is full of fun counter signals. Um, but I played more Warhammer. Like one of my goals was to play more Warhammer this year, and I did. I've played more than 60 games of AOS since 4 came out.
New edition.
Probably more
Yep.
than that actually. But I know I've done at least 60. So, like on all accounts, I've played more games, I've painted more models, I've felt like I've achieved more with my models. So, there you go. So I feel like that's successful. Um, let's see. Okay. Robert Curtis said, Merry Christmas. What color paint or paints is most representative, literally or metaphorically, of your hobby this year? Oh, God, I don't know. Skin tones. That's my answer. Anything in the skin tone. So the whole panoply of human skin tone. Tom, do you have a
Brown,
thought? What's that?
wildwood, the
Wildwood?
wildwood contrast paint.
Okay.
Like,
There you go.
I've went through more because, again, I was doing a Sylvaneth commission, right? I've done like 2 large Sylvaneth commissions,
Sure.
but even more than that. Um, like browns were the palette of my Cruel Boys. Like other than
Gotcha.
some splashes of blue and green, it was like lots of beiges and browns. And I started all my Skaven schemes, and guess what? Still lots of brown.
Sure.
Like,
Uh, Breda Wise said, "Do you guys build anything else in your downtime from Warhammer, like basically like Gundam or Bandai kits or stuff like that?" No, don't do any Gundam or anything like that. I mean, obviously, like I said, I do a lot of display models and things like that. So that's really my like other scales. I do a lot of non Warhammer stuff, but no Gundams or anything.
Shatterpoint for me.
Shatterpoint. Oh yeah, sure, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I love. I'm a big Star Wars fan, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
like I don't play a whole lot of Shatterpoint, but I just love the models.
Very
So
nice. Senti with the super chat. Big thanks for all your guides and the sheer excitement for the hobby. I finally got an AOS army, mostly thanks to just loving to listen to your podcast while I paint. Hey, that's fantastic. Wonderful. That is very good to hear. Glad to hear you joined us on this wild journey. Ole said yes. In Norway, we celebrate on the 24th as well. There you go. A couple people mentioning this. Vince and Tom, with the leaks of the Auric book, all my motivation for finishing the IJ disappeared. How do you get the motivation back when you know the rules are going to stink even worse somehow? So here's what I'll say.
buy low.
What's that? Buy low. Yeah,
Buy
yeah,
low.
sure. Yeah, now's the best time to get painting because if your army's at a nadir, that means it can only get better. That means you're only going to get buffs and point drops and things like that. Okay. Now, that being said, I can't talk about the new book yet, obviously. But I am not in a despair cycle with it. That is what I will say. I hold out hope, and we'll talk about it more in the future.
Well, what I'll say is this, because I'm not under an NDA, and I watched Rob's stream, right?
Sure.
So,
You can talk about whatever you
so the
want.
book has the book has been spoiled and is on Rob's stream. Here are my thoughts on it. I don't think it is as doom and gloom as everybody says it is. I am way more negative on Cruel Boys than I am on Iron Jaws at this point. I think Iron Jaws, I think there's a lot of potential there. I think that the new Shield Bash on, like, our boys literally went from strength to strength in this new book with the new changes. And I've been a big stan of the Mall Crusher for a while. So again, I think the changes are positive, and I think with the points adjustments that we've had, it's trending positive. I think another round of potential cuts could be helpful for them. I'm disappointed on some of the rules stuff. Obviously, I wish they would have done some more like holistic changes, but overall, like I I feel good about my son playing them because I think that there's potential there.
Nice. Okay. Ghost Button said, which AOS characters make the best Santa and the best Grinch? Well, I mean, like this guy right here was Bugman's the 57th or whatever, right?
Yep.
Clearly, he's Santa in their world. Like he's
if
very,
you're willing
he's
to do
always
some
giving
green
gifts.
stuffing, I think Mollog would make an amazing Santa.
Sure, the troll.
Yeah, because the way he's holding his little frog, like green stuff that into a sack. I'm telling you, he would be a wonderful Santa.
Like as to the Grinch, I don't know who's the Grinchiest.
Clearly the shaman, the Iron Jaws shaman.
Yeah, it's not just about look though; it's about attitude. Like you're thinking about look, I'm thinking about like attitude, right? Like because the trick with the Grinch is the Grinch actually loved Christmas. He was just lonely and felt left out, right? Like that's actually what the story of the Grinch is. He didn't actually hate Christmas or anything, right?
Sure.
He just felt left out. And so like I'm gonna say, by the way, I bet Usharon's like holiday parties are off the chain. Let me just say that. Okay, I bet that dude throws a heck of a like winter party, sure. Christmas party, whatever they've got going on. Like it's feasting all around there, I'm sure. Like
every day is Christmas.
Yeah, give into the delusion, and boy, it's gonna be just a grand old time. Amazing gifts, incredible feasts, all of that. Now, in fact, it's all just like bones and gristle and blood. But hey, look, if you're delusional, it's wonderful. I'm gonna say Nagash is like the Grinch, right? Because he he wants to join in. He just feels like other people are mean to him, and so it made him all mad and angry. But like I could see him having a Grinch like transformation where his heart grows 4 sizes, and then he like joins in, and he's all like, and somebody gives him a nice gift,
Well,
and he's like all happy.
he used to be part of the party,
Sure,
and then he got kicked out of Super Friends,
that's right.
right? Yeah, and so it makes sense. And then
Absolutely.
Sigmar started stealing all of his souls that were rightfully his.
Yep. I think that's the answer. Ole said, question: I've mostly painted my Skaven army to meta. Right now, I am finishing up Plague Monks and Night Runners. What should I paint next? I mean, some weapons teams if you haven't. Some Jezzails are fine. Yep. Rat Ogres are good. Any of the Warlocks that you like, specifically just the base Engineer or something like that, are all good. All those things are useful.
Weapon teams. I would start with weapon teams, and I would magnetize the weapons. I did that. And it's been wonderful. Like, it's not as difficult as it looks. And so so I can swap between any of the weapon sets for the weapon team that I did. And then clan rats. I mean, you need.
Yeah, sure, always clan rats. Yeah, never go wrong.
Yep.
They deliver. They're like the postal service. They always deliver. I played a game against Skaven this last weekend, and I took Slanesh against Skaven. So new Slanesh with new points. It was an all cavalry list, so I was really trying to play with the new, like, your cav can also get the crit 2 hits thing. Yeah. Not all cavalry, but like the units were all mounted people.
Heavy cav. Yep.
Heavy cav, yeah. And it was fun. It was a really good game. I ended up losing, but it was a squeaker. Like we were in it. It was a close game the whole time. I played against Skaven, actually. So that was fun.
Was it a weapons team?
Oh god, it was gross. Yeah, it was 12 rattling guns, like full grotesquerie. And that's just a statement.
I played at Havoc this fall.
Yeah, it's a hard list. Like, it's so good, right? Because if they point at something, that your unit's just gone. Like, they just eliminate your units. You have to play like really carefully. And it says something that, like, this army that I had, which is like incredibly fast, right? This is an army that can retreat and charge. Oh, by the way, it had the Nurgle Regiment of Renown in it as well. So like so that if you destroyed the things that were protecting the weapon teams, Nurglings would just pop out and then still continue to tie you up. But I mean, amazing. I'm playing like a very fast army where the entire army can basically have run and charge, can easily move like 18 inches and then charge, right? If it needs to, or more. And then can retreat and charge, right? Because all of my cav can retreat and charge without taking damage. And still, I can't put enough pressure on that castle, right? It's just because every time they point at something, it evaporates. That's it. But anyways, the funny part was I was using Celesk as my general because I like Celesk. I actually had no non-named hero, so I had no heroic traits or artifacts, because who cares? That's the nature of playing Slanesh. And Celesk died to Clan Rats. Just got chopped down. I failed like all my saves and just went down to the auto wound, so it was very funny. I mean, they did work, but then they went down. My hobby says, airbrush question. I picked up an airbrush setup, but I've clogged 2 airbrushes so far. I really only wanted to use it for priming. Am I using maybe too small of a needle? So if you're priming, you should be using like a 0.3 needle at minimum, and you want to put thinner in there first. And then the key is get yourself some isopropyl alcohol, 99%. And after you run a priming session, you want to clean it. What's happening is just primer's very easy to get caught down in the nozzle and to build up around the nozzle. So you need a little needle scraping tool. Get yourself some 99% isopropyl. Run that through after your primer. That should get you cleaned out and be ready to go, even with a cheap airbrush.
What about what was the primer that you guys use? The oil-based primer?
Yeah, the it's not oil. It's enamel. Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 Black. Love this stuff.
That's on my Christmas list. I'm hoping that's showing up. I've heard good things about that, and it won't clog like the Vallejo ones.
It is really good. The other problem with your primer, by the way, with acrylic primers, is the bottom third of a bottle of any acrylic primer is Garbo. Like, you just toss it out, because it'll separate enough over time, and you just can't mix it back enough that there will be tiny chunks. You don't see them in the liquid, but trust me, they're there. Your airbrush finds them. And like, basically the bottom third of the bottle is worthless. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, warp fire throwers is another good one to lay. Like warp fire throwers are great. I really do stand warp fire throwers. They're shorter range, but they're very good. They're great off turn because they hit on two's base, so they actually
do work.
off turn shoot really well. Okay. Let's see. Martin said, question, painting a red devil bust next. I know, out of character for me. What 3 to 4 hue of paints would you use for like dark brick red skin? I don't know that I'd only use 3 or 4, Martin. Skin is so varied. But like certainly like a whole red, a bright red, like a resplendent red, an orange red, a pastel peach or a sunny skin tone, and then probably a black or very deep purple. That would be a good start. Something like that would be the range that I would run to begin with. That's usually my red skin tones are somewhere in that mix. Let's see.
Some questions.
I know. I was just jumping around. I'm just jumping around. Okay. Let's see. What would you all say is a good infantry unit for Stormcast that isn't Raptors? I currently have Karzai as my commander. Crazy? Oh, crazy? Yeah, I mean, I stand... What's that? Yeah, sure. Praetors to keep him safe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although they're somewhat diminished from the new bodyguard change because you can't drop them in
Sure,
anymore.
you can't. Yeah, you can't charge, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't have the general charge and then drop them in and get the bonus. But I think they're still good.
Here's what I'm going to say, though. I hear that.
Shield Annihilators. I agree.
Oh, yeah.
At 150,
sure.
Come on, man. Shield Annihilators are good now.
They are. No, what I was going to say is that I want to just, like, I'm going to be that guy and go back to our early 4th edition show and say, when we covered Stormcast, I called out the Praetor bodyguard general thing, and everybody was like, oh, no, that's junk. That's trash. Guess what? I was right.
Yeah, it's not trash. But yes, it's real good.
The Shield Annihilators.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's cash there. And
there is. Cheap. I mean, just Reclusians, by the way. Like a 6-pack of Reclusians is also quite good. Like I don't sleep on Reclusians. They're solid. So, Sam Nash said he's asking for tips and pointers on Skaven, how to play the faction, especially Molder and Scryer. Well, Scryer's easy. You just take a bunch of weapon teams, you take an Arch Warlock, and then you make sure you have enough clan rats to bubble wrap them, and that's it. And then you kill anything that comes within your kill box. Now, that being said, it's not the only way to do it. You can mix in. There's lots of ways to play Scryer, honestly. You can the war machines all got super cheap. So like the Plague Claw, the Warp Blaster, and the Warp Lightning Cannon, I think all have use in lists. You can play pretty diffuse and do like Night Runners and Doom Wheels out on the side and play a much more movement tricky game. Tom, you mentioned the Verminous thing. What I really want to play with the new 2 inches of movement thing. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get the list. I can't find the list yet, but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. With the cheap Verminlord and Critic. Okay.
Yep.
Because Critic lets
the Verminous Verminlord?
No. He's just no, not the Verminous one. The like cheap one, the generic one. What's his name? He's just like
the warp seer? No.
I don't remember either. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. The Verminlord is like 330 or 340 points, something like that, right?
Well, the Verminous one is 320.
This one lets your claw step ahead. Whenever you 3 claw steps, you move 2 extra inches. Okay? And then Critic lets 2 units 3 claw steps ahead. Okay?
Yep.
So if you have that plus the movement buff hero from the new heroic trait, your infantry units are moving 10 inches off turn. Okay? If they're in his range.
Yep.
And I just there's got to be something there. That is insane off turn movement. 2 units moving 10 inches off turn is wild. Okay?
Yeah.
So, like, there's got to be something in that list. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't cracked the code, but, like, there's something there. There's something there. With Molder, the key is just don't be afraid of drops. Just, like, go high drops and try to lean into the two things. And take Prized Beast, like, on a Brood Terror or something like that. And take the +2 movement. You need the +2 movement really badly because it makes your rat ogres move 8 inches, and it's a huge difference, like titanic difference in their functionality. So yeah, that's what I would say. Yes, we did cover the new Fulgrim. He's pretty good. I think his face could use a little help, and I think I'm sad he has a little slug belly instead of a segmented belly. But other than that, he rules. So there you go. Okay. Let's see. Hey, a lot of people shouting out 52 Miniatures saying they love his content. I agree. It's beautiful stuff. I mean, the dude makes movies, not really like videos on YouTube. YouTube is such a coarse medium for a man of such skill. 52 Miniatures said, questions, why not? On the subject of primers, I have a question, Vince. Vallejo rattle can primers are also enamel or some other solvent-based paint. I had issues with oil washes over Vallejo cans. Interesting. I think the most rattle can primers are usually some mix of polyurethane and something like that. So that's what's giving them their extra stuff. I don't know if anything specific in the Vallejo cans that would cause. Was it like a reactivation issue? 52. I assume that's what happened. But if you ever run into that issue, the answer is just give them a good varnish in between doing your wash and anything else. Like a good like satin or gloss varnish will help. Should stop any kind of reactivation issue. So, but no, I haven't run into that specific issue. I'm about to try out the new Color Forge sprays from Monument. I've got a bunch of those, so I'm going to be doing a video on those. Those look like they have a lot of potential for primers and colored stuff, so I've got a bunch of terrain queued up to paint. So nice. Maybe look into those. I don't know. I'll give you a report there, 52, once I give them a full try. Okay. Cleave and Run. You guys are awesome. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. And right back at you as well there. Jap. Let's see. What else did I miss?
Tristan just asked about a cities list.
Okay, I'm just looking. I'm just making sure anything else here. Oh, Latin said the Tyrant can be converted into a Great Santa. Yeah, look-wise, that is a good call. We talked about that a little while back. That's good. Okay. Mike M, what advice for painting would you give a kid who just got a starter paint set and some minis today? That's a great question. I would advise them to spend 20% of their time watching videos and stuff like that, and 80% of their time painting. I would tell them to focus on contrast, brush control, and very basic techniques like thinning paints. I think that kind of basic technical stuff is missed, but it's the most important things you generally can do and learn out of the gate. That's it.
Yep.
And just paint. And know you'll improve and just paint.
I'd be super sensitive about what paints I gave them. And what I mean by that is, like, when I started teaching my kids, like, I would prime everything for them in Zenithal, and then give them contrast paints. Nice. And let them do just contrast paints over Zenithal is a great place to start, because it's poppy, it looks good, and with only a little bit of work, like their models actually, like, it's very rewarding to them, which is what I did with my son. And then, we can go back after the first round, everything's painted, and do cleanup and just be like, show additional techniques and stuff like that on how to do that. And so truly, like, when you do like a Zenithal with contrast, it's a paint by numbers type of setup. And so for younger painters, it's a great place to start.
Love it. Let's see. Dakota, who had a question about doing red orcs, exactly the same answer I gave Martin on the devil skin. That's the same answer. There you go. Traven said, I've only ever painted Blood Angels. Any recommendation for a fun and different army to paint? I mean, Fulgrim, Emperor's Children, Slanesh, Purples, why not? Seems like the answer to me. You got a beautiful new centerpiece model. Now's the time to give in to excess. So there you go. Zednek with a super chat saying hi from Chechia. How do you feel overall about Fourth? Many of us ex-competitive players in the area have moved to 40k, as Fourth feels more like a skirmish game now. Wow, that's I don't know about the skirmish game comment. That's interesting. No, I'm pretty positive overall. I think there's some real proud nails that need to get addressed. We've talked about like the reinforcement issue. I think manifestations are still a bit prickly. Like it's taken some work. It was a lot of big changes. I mean, overall, I have had a lot more fun, and I think every change they've done has been positive. Like we've been since its launch, you know, we've had like 2 battle scrolls and other FAQs and stuff. I think they're all moving in the right direction. I am very positive about it overall, despite there being some very obvious proud nails that are negatives. Like I don't love the books that are just reprints of the indices. That sucks. Um, I think manifestations, like I said, are tricky, and I think right now army building is kind of the most boring it's ever been. But I've had a lot of fun with the game overall.
Let me jump in. I've had to remind some of our so first I'll just say this. Um my local community in Lexington has struggled with the same things, right? Of like navigating that, and some of them are we're trying to find other games and stuff like that just because they were not having as much fun with fourth coming off of where they were on third. And my advice and my reminder to folks is that third was the tail end of almost 10 years of refining.
Yeah, sure. And now we're starting over again.
Of just like sharpening the edge, right,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
balance. And so like it didn't feel that way because you're like, oh, third edition was only out for 3 years. But decisions were made in third edition that had been informed by mistakes in first and second edition, right? But when we move to fourth, this is the challenge, this is the problem, this is the danger of ground up rewrites, which is what we did. Is that we took everything that we had largely learned in those first 9 years and set them aside. Or let me say it this way, or balance based on our understandings of third edition and where third edition was at, but missed actually the hard lessons of first and second edition, right?
Yeah.
In the core writing of those rules. And so the challenge I think that we have is that we are in the first 6 months, right, of a new game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a good call.
And the development decisions that are having to now be made is very different than the development decisions that we experience in all of third edition.
Yep.
Right.
I agree.
So we will likely within the first probably the next 6 months have a very playable competitive game. Right.
Yeah, I think we're on a very good track. It's just, I agree. It's going to take time to shape everything back in.
It's going to take time, and then we'll be moving to the smaller and smaller adjustments. But right now, big swings are having to be made in order to clean up the game. And again, this is nothing against the designers or fourth edition or anything like that. Like this is what you always run the risk of every time you do major rules revisions and rewrites. There's from a development standpoint, there are like tiers of development, and when you mess with core things down in the bottom, it touches everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And so one of the challenges is that we've done a core rewrite, and in doing a core rewrite, it's messed up our understandings of like second and third and fourth tier of how things interact. And so a lot of people I've heard say, well, we need to just change the double turn. Well, that's a core rewrite. And as soon as you do that, you're going to deprioritize some things, and you're going to throw everything else out of whack because of the other decisions that have been made about those fundamental, those core elements. And so my advice would be, I think don't give up on it. In 6 months, we'll have a different game again.
Sure. All right, I want to hit a lot of questions here. Let's see. Colt Spinks, do y'all know of a good place for bits? I'm working on a Sun's Army and want to do a pirate ocean base theme. I mean, like My Mini Factory and stuff like that, where like 3D printed bits is a great place to go. There's lots of people who do 3D printed bits. Just look at eBay for bits out of kits, stuff like that. I mean, those two are sort of two primary places. My Mini Factory has a lot of stuff that you can use. Okay. Soda Paints. If I'm bound and determined to use the Lord Vigilant on Morgriff, what's a decent way to use him in a list? I have no idea. That guy is not good. I would say hit up Tyler is really my answer. He's thought about Stormcast a lot more recently than I have. He's been playing it a lot. Hit him up with that challenge. I'm sure he can give you a list, Soda Paints. Just hit him up on Twitter or Blue Sky or wherever he's at right now. I want to come back to Tomb King Tristan's question because Tom, you've been thinking a lot about lists. Yep. I don't have like a cities list or a good answer for him, but maybe you do. Skaven Spawn said, love your content in the show. Do you do any old world gaming content or just stick to AOS? No, we're going to do some old world stuff. I keep saying it just keeps coming up with like, doesn't work out with the schedule. But yes, I do want to do some old world discussions here and there. 100%. Okay. Is there any gas for playing Warrior Heavy S2D? I'm not too interested in Varangard spam, but I'm not too caught up in what the new book looked like. You maybe if you just mean like specifically Chaos Warriors only, like that guy, that one model, that's tougher. If you mean like some mixed force where like a big group of warriors and then like knights and stuff like that, or like Chosen, if you consider Chosen just like big warriors, then yeah, I think there's absolutely gas in that, 100%. So I don't think there's much gas in like just spamming Chaos Warriors alone. Okay. Let's see. Vince, do you have any tips for freehanding murals on knights? Sure. Find a piece of art yeah, no, it's actually really easy. Like, find a piece of art you really like and simplify it down and then just like look at it and paint that thing onto there. Like, just see what you see and paint that thing. And just painting it is not a matter of, you're not trying to paint the final thing. Start with like rough shapes and then just refine. It's no different than painting on a canvas, right? It won't look amazing, but it's not supposed to. It's like very simplified and small. Even if you take a shot at it, it will look awesome on the table, especially when all the knights are ranked up. So, or if you're talking about on a big knight, if you mean like an imperial knight, like a robot knight, as opposed to knights, because I'm thinking like on the side of their tabard. But if you mean big knight, same story. It'll still look awesome once you have all the armor plates. So whichever knights you mean. There you go. Robert T, I'm new to painting in general. I just got the Pro Acryl line. Do they need thinning? So far, all the pots I use seem fine out of the pot. When I do thin, it becomes more of a watery wash. Yeah, they're made to be used more or less straight. I still thin them a little bit with just a little water, but you don't need to thin them much. They're designed more to be used kind of straight out of there. Okay. All right, very good. You want to tackle a cities question there? You want to give him an answer? What do you think cities?
Yeah. So I've been writing lists obviously since the War Scroll drop. I mean, what I would say is this: I really want to make human cities work. I haven't gotten there yet. I think that I think an interesting tech piece in this highly like super offensive meta might be flagellants with Zenestra. I think that would be fun in the sense that you're going to grind through them and they're going to kick back mortals. Not that they're going to be doing any damage. The problem is that most of cities aren't, like, the humans aren't doing damage, and this is the problem outside of knights. And so I don't know that there's, I don't know. I think cities is in a difficult place right now, is what I would say. Like Steel Helms, most of their units are the worst types of units, which are infantry, low wound count. Like they can't reinforce to large blocks, and so that's why ironically, like,
no, the difference between there's a huge difference in the game right now between a unit that caps at 20 wounds and a unit that caps at 40 wounds.
Yeah,
and its efficacy.
There is. And that's why I was saying that, like, if there's any tech there, it would be in something like Zealots, who aren't made to live; they're actually made to die. Where you can just have a bunch of quote MSU groups of 20, which are reinforced, units that then kick back mortals on 4s. And so you just send them into the blender against those big units, and then reinforce with like knight countercharge units and stuff like that. That might be interesting if you want to do humans. Otherwise, I just think you need to go potentially to another race. I think dwarves.
Bring in the elves. Bring in the dwarves.
Yeah. Bring in dwarves. Bring the elves. Yeah. What I would say is that I don't think that list writing is on autopilot for cities. I think that it struggles.
Hey, I wanted to give a quick shout out. Engineer Jeff is in the chat. Engineer Jeff, YouTuber from way back before I started. Engineer Jeff, one of the first people I used to watch on YouTube back in the day, and like 12 years ago, I watched an Engineer Jeff video and I really liked what he painted. He was using a weird brush, and I reached out to him in his comments and I said, "Hey, what brush are you using?" And he responded to me with a Winsor & Newton Series 7 size 1, and that was the first time I learned about Winsor & Newton brushes. It's like 2012 or something like that. I don't know, 11, somewhere around there. Maybe 13 years ago. I know, it was a long time ago. But thank you, Engineer Jeff. He put me on a good path, so I appreciate that. It was a very nice guy. One of the people who was like, I want to be like him. when I YouTube and always respond to all the questions that I get asked. So he helped me out a lot. So thank you, Engineer Jeff. Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Okay. Let's see. Boo. Oh, for Tyler, people talking about finding Tyler. Well, it's under Scrubby and Wells is his name on Twitter /Blue Sky. I don't know. I mean, you can always just hit him up. I think he always just joins under Scrubby and Wells. So, Gareth said that's the most paint the rest of the owl answer ever. Just look at the painting you like and then paint it on your night. Yeah, I mean, look, I wish there was another answer, man. But you're asking me, how do you do a canvas painting? And the answer is like you steal the art. But like I said, you start with simple shapes, circles, squares, stuff like that. You set the various figures in place and then just refine, build up. I can't in 2 sentences explain to you how to be a canvas painter. Okay? Coming after me, Gareth. Though?
You know who could?
A canvas painter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I hear that there's some happy, you could go look up happy trees, Google that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just do some Bob Ross stuff. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with Bob Ross stuff. Cyrus said, Vince, do you have any advice on painting larger models? I find them very intimidating for some reason. Yeah. I mean, they're no different. It's just one big model. Think of it like a whole unit. Yes, it's more surface area. Get a good painting handle that you can actually support it on. The most important part of painting a large model is actually just a larger painting handle. So that's why I have, stuff like this that I can like hold them to, where you can put them on. This has a little hole in it. I don't know if you can see right there.
Yep.
Okay. Where I can run like a metal wire through and tie it around their foot so they'll stay attached. Yep. Because just holding them is usually the biggest challenge. But an airbrush can be a big help. Busting out oil paints can be a good technique. Use a really big brush. Like, this is the brush I started that bust with. Right? Like, this is a size 10. Like, you got a big surface, you get a big surface area. You don't paint your wall in your house with a size 1 brush, right? You get out a big roller and you go to work. So, like, bigger brush, different mediums, different tech tools, like that is to say an airbrush or something.
Airbrushes are amazing on large models.
Yeah. Like, you can really do most of your work with the airbrush is the honest answer.
Vince, I saw... Go ahead.
No, go.
I would say Sam Nash had asked...
I was just about to go to his as well. That's funny.
Yep. Of all the current AOS factions, if you had to pick one, what faction would you most love to see get a model expansion?
Skaven.
Always Skaven?
Yeah. Eshin. We didn't get our Eshin models. No, I mean, that probably is like my second place answer. My first place answer is honestly ogres. Like, I want to see them get a refresh and an expansion. I think you could do a lot with the ogre army. I think it's a good concept.
I just built their spearhead, in fact. It's funny that you say that. I think for me, as weird as this sounds, I know which one I feel needs it most. I also know which one I would like to see most. I'll start this way. Fire Slayers need it most.
Sure.
Like, it's just a mess. And like, they out of every army, I think they need the expansion the most. Sure. That said, I'm just not as interested in whatever they release of Fire Slayers compared to an expansion of KO. Because the design space of KO, of what could be built, of what it could look like, of like dwarfy mechs or golems or additional ships, like there's just so much like opportunity there, is what I would say. That I'm most interested to see what they do with KO, even though I don't think that they need it the most.
Yeah. So Shadeling, I'm interested to get your take on this one, Tom. Shadeling said only getting 3 army books 6 months after a new edition was a huge miss, in my opinion. I'm going to take a controversial opinion to this response to this. Okay. I think we should have gotten 0.
Okay. And let us publicly beta test the new content for 6 months to a year.
With such a big change. Look, my biggest problem is actually that these books come out and they're just copies of the index. And why? Why, Tom? Why are they copies of the index? because they had to write these things 2 years ago when they were writing the indexes. They wrote them at the same time. So, of course, one is just a copy of the other. Right?
Yep.
And, like, yeah, they could have put in, like, a little bit of expansion content. That would have been nice. Like, they could have put in, like, another set of enhancements or something. Right?
We got a couple units that were expansions from the book.
Yeah. But, like, honestly, I don't know how you... I wish that army books themselves ceased existing. Let me just say that. And were, like, digital things that they released, much like the indices. But they're not going to do that. There's a lot of revenue to that. So, like, I'm not foolish. But I wish there was more of a lag so that they had some ability, a way to actually gather feedback about the edition and then write army books that were there. Or at least 6 months and give themselves more lead time to where they can really think, experience their own internal playtesting more, get feedback from other playtesters, and then start writing army books that actually build on the concepts in the indices. Because I think what I would like to see. I'm not in a rush for army books when they're looking like they currently look.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a controversial take. Stanley Martin with the super chat. Any suggestions on how to run FEC with the new changes? I mean, like, a lot of ghouls, I think, is one of the options. Just, like, a ton of ghouls. Goremain in there for some stuff. But, Tom, you've been messing with some FEC lists. I don't know. I know Brendan has as well.
Yeah, I'm struggling, to be honest. Brendan was running the 2 towers, right? He was running.
He tried the 2 towers, yeah. Nagash and Usharan, yeah. Then with just
I don't know is the answer. I literally built lists last night and I couldn't get to anywhere that I was happy, to be honest.
I got to play with it more, but I do think Ghoul Heavy is a pretty strong way to go. Even though they are a 20 wound cap unit, they're very destructive, and you don't mind losing them given what the situation is. I think Goremain's got a lot of gas. I think finally you can build deed points with the right heroes now with the new ability. So I think it's like, I think in all they still want to be a low drop list probably.
Yep.
Because I do think they need to be in charge of the tempo of the game. But I think just a couple of that. So there you go.
Yeah. Yep. I think Ghoul Heavy, like all the lists let me say it this way. All the lists that I've created are Ghoul Heavy lists.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The Scream Bats are also, I think, pretty solid. So I like they've got some gas. Lodovicus said, counterpoint, there's 24 factions now. If you delay too long, you end up with a 1-month army book. Well, I've got a super simple solution for that, Lodovicus, which is stop doing 3-year editions. That's actually the real solution. Give an edition time to actually breathe, right? Yeah. Dougie Fresh said, I wish we could revive monsters like in 3rd. I love my Terror Goose and Zombo Drakes. Well, if you have Nagash on the list, you can revive them. He can bring them back.
Yep.
He can bring back the Terrorgeist or whatever.
Yep.
Abaddon said 12 Morbegs and 12 Horrors was the FEC go-to before, and I really don't think that's gotten any weaker. Okay, interesting. There you go. I haven't played against that particular list, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. Like, if they wanted to make books right now, what would have been cooler is what Cygnus said. Like, campaign books. Like, put out the new units in campaign books, do narrative books, set up the new edition, set up the campaign, set up the stakes, say what's going on in the world, put in some armies of renown, regiments of renown. Like, you can have rules in them to make them, because that's what sells books, right?
Yep.
Like, you could do it. You don't actually need the army books right now. Run these editions in 5-year cycles, right?
Yep.
Wait some time, put out these other campaign books with different kinds of rules in the first 6 months to a year of the edition. Let the indexes run and breathe, and then change things through Battle Scroll, because it's digital rules, so it's easy to change. Yep. That's how I would do this if I was in charge of this.
Well, so is that your answer to Nick's question? Nick Sacomano said, what's the first thing you would change about GW if you had the power?
Yeah, probably. I guess. Yeah. I mean, like, no, I mean, you need to culturally change. I mean, they're on the footsie now. So, like, they have real expectations. There's, like, you have to figure out how to monetize. Like, the real answer, if I was there and I was one of their product people, right, is I would figure out how to work within the constraints of the revenue expectations while actually still delivering a good game that's going to have a growth pattern that's sustainable, right? And I do think that's through expanding your audience through other games, other modes of play, other modalities, things like that. Like that's the kind of stuff I would look at. I wouldn't try to have like absolute blowout years.
Yeah.
I would try to have a. I would try to work with the upper management to figure out what's the sustained revenue patterns, right? That
Yeah.
we can do here. That's gonna actually create reliable growth rather than spiky growth. So that like it would be a culture thing.
Well, mine's not a culture thing. Mine's a product thing because I'm just going to talk about AOS. Um, I think yours is probably would be better for the company if they had those long sustained growth. I know we've talked about like changing it so that rules aren't locked behind books and all that stuff, right?
Sure.
Um, like as I reflected on it, this actually came up in one of our chats a couple weeks ago. Like, and for me, if I was given control of AOS for a season, it would be pivoting on some of the product development. One of the first things that I would implement would be to design a concrete. I know this is the silver bullet that everybody that they've been trying to figure out, which is a concrete, kind of easy to get into local grow format
Sure.
that has local leagues. So think about something like Friday Night Magic. There's your Magic reference for those that were waiting
Sure.
on that
Wait.
one.
Yeah.
Something like Friday Night Magic, but for narrative Warhammer.
Yeah.
I can imagine a world where we'd have like each month would have a collection of scenarios for different levels of play. So you could have a series of scenarios like each month of like skirmish through like 3K games. These could have play prompts connected to like a rolling global campaign events that mirror the GHB, um, but with like GHB seasons, but with narrative play. So you could get something like Malign Portents or Broken Realms narrative each season. So like each year you would have a narrative that you would progress through for that year. Each month would have new content about playing and contributing to that. And what I would do is I would have kind of this um I would have a tie-in to, like, we live in a digital age, right? Everyone is participating in this and can contribute to the results. And so they've done little glimpses of this, but it would be pulling all of these threads that GW has done together. And then I could imagine associated rewards for participation. They've done like pins from the GW stores before, but they could do
Sure.
exclusive, like if this is all website based, right? And it's being contributed in, like results are being reported in, then the play pattern and the activity is reported there. You could have exclusive models, like things could unlock on their web store because they do this with Warhammer Plus, right? Based on this, you could even have GW from GW discounts, right? Discounts on GW's website as rewards proper as well. Um, Armies on Parade could even be tied to this as well. This could be an outworking of that season. Like Armies of on Parade could be the culmination
Sure.
of this like 12 months of play and
More
building this
holistic
cash
vision.
tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the journey.
Um, and
I
it would
agree.
be distinct from competitive play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it would let people engage the ecosystem at their leisure. Players could then opt into competitive environments without having to like be forced into that, because right now most of the time the local play that's happening is all generally prep for events. That's been a lot of what my experience has been, rather than people playing at 1,000 point, 1,500 point, 2,000, 3,000 points for fun, right?
Yep.
And so I would use kind of the narrative framing to then you could introduce like things that we've again gotten glimpses of, where you could do something like a season in Olgu, right? And then and so the content that gets designed for these like annual seasons, the best of that could trickle into actual books, right? Could trickle into the really good scenario was created for one of these that could show up in the next GHB for competitive events. And so then you create a play environment that is conducive to new players, and then stuff is getting essentially beta tested before it gets rolled into competitive, like on a mass scale, before it gets rolled into competitive content. I don't know. I like, there's just so much opportunity with something like that. It just takes, hopefully, um, like somebody to pull it all together. That's what I would ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I would do, by the way, to capture the revenue shortfall that my plans would
Sure.
undoubtedly cause, would be I would take all of the existing old content of Warhammer books going back to literal first edition to the first editions published, because they still have all the PDFs
Yeah.
and stuff like that there. I would turn them all into PDFs and I would sell them all for $5 a piece through like either Wargame Vault or through the site directly or something like that. $5 flat cost. You get the full PDF of any book in Warhammer history, every army book, everything going all the way back to the first books. Back to 1983.
Easy peasy.
41 years of content. Every book is available. Easy searchable database. $5. You get the PDF. That's it. I think people would buy the heck out of a lot of that old stuff just for the art and cool references back to old editions and things like that. Like, I would do everything. Wizards did this, by the way, and I think it's been a huge revenue driver for them. My back of the napkin calculations was it's worth not a huge amount of money to them every year, but it's worth a decent amount of money. So there you go. Okay. Let's see. George said, guys, I got some paints for Christmas and a couple of contrasts and a spray paint. Sounds like you're good to go. Robert T said, question for Vince and Tom, what army would you delete and what army would you add from the old world or somewhere in the lore? Sure. I would delete Fire Slayers and KO as being two separate armies and put them in a single book, Orc War Clan style. Since we're just doing this now, apparently, just like the first half of the book is KO, the second half of the book is Fire Slayers, and then there would be an Army of Renown in the back that is the lodge that has the two of them together, with some limited number of units. Put them into a single book. That way, they're there. That doesn't mean you can't expand either one of them. They both need expansions, but they're both small. If we're going to keep shoving Cruel Boys and Iron Jaws together, then why not this too? And ogres and
for that Army of Renown, it could be a long drawn Slayer. Like a long draw, like the pirates.
Yeah. Well, there's a specific lodge that has.
Well, no, that lodge was more dispossessed, but yes, like it was because they had priests and stuff like that. It was strange.
Fine, put it all together. I don't care. Like, my point is have that Army of Renown, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can do it Big Wa style. And and just call it. Yeah, there you go. Call it Duradin Holds. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Like they're both going for gold in a different way. It's fine.
Yeah.
That frees up one book slot in there. By the way, I'm not talking about diminishing either of the armies. Like, I'm just saying you combine them into one book so they release together. They don't need to be two separate forces and two separate books.
I agree.
Yeah, and it lets you do an interesting crossover armies of renown and stuff like that, and blah 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 blah. Look, they're hanging out in this picture. Look at how happy that Fire Slayer is with his little toy boat. They yearn for the skies. Okay.
Indeed.
So, and then army I would add. There's like a million things you could choose, but we've talked about our imaginary armies and what we like to see. There's plenty you could add from the lore drops and things like that. But what I would like to see most of all is a death faction that isn't subservient to Nagash in some way. I think that would be really fun. I think death is still too samey in the way it feels, not the way it plays. There are material differences in the different death armies and how they play, but I think just in like the actual way they feel theme wise, I'd love to see a distinct non-Nagash aligned death army. There you go. That's my choice. Or a life-based destruction army.
I would. I'm gonna piggyback on it and not say a life-based destruction army, but a realms-based destruction army. Whose purpose is to return the realms, to throw off the yoke of order, chaos, and death, and to tear down the cities, to tear down the portals, to return the mortal realms back to greatness, and have it be an elemental, like elementals and tribes of humans or whatever races, right, mixed in, that worship and live in harmony with the elementals that are representatives, that are shards of the mortal realms itself. And so you could have like subfactions that are tied to Akshi or Ulgu or whatever, right? The different elements that are different things, and then the human cultures that live in, rather than trying to master the realms, they're living in harmony with them.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. A lot of shout out for vampirates, sure. Like, again, but that could just be like an expansion of Soul Blight at the same time. So yep. I'm okay with that. Like, there's lots of expansions of the current armies I like to see. I want to see them grot bag scuttlers and stuff. I want to see flying. Like, we got these normal grots How do we get normal grots on wolves?
Right.
When we could have gotten like mechanical flying grots in boats in like
We just
raggedy
missed it.
boats.
We missed it.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. So there you go. There's so many options. I mean, it's a big vast world as usual. The challenges there's just like with 40k. There's so many other things mentioned in the lore. They're just never going to actually be full armies, but they could show up in like Warcry or Underworlds or something like that. Okay. Donald Kelly says, putting the final basing touches on my first big commission. Thank you for your years of tutorials and inspiration. Hey, that's awesome, man. Merry Christmas. All right. Let's see. I think that mostly catches us up. We're mostly good. Germ says Chorfs win. I mean, hopefully never. No offense. But just, I don't need cast dwarves in my game. I really don't. That being said, they could blow me away if they really did like an interesting resculpt of the thing. I think the concept just fits better in the old world. But if they actually did an interesting concept of the thing, like really, really expanded it, I would just rather see like Malarians, Dark Elves first is my honest answer. But like...
Yeah. Like if they're going to do Chorfs, like I think that they're a sub-faction of Slaves of Darkness.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you easily could. Right, but like if you're gonna do them as your own army, then really do them, and I don't want them to just be like what the Blood Bowl team was. Like we need to really reimagine what these guys are and what the artillery and they are the forge masters of chaos. Okay, what does that mean? Right. Like I could see a version of it that I thought wasn't stupid, but it certainly doesn't look anything like the existing stuff. So I'm not sure like. I don't need bull centaurs and all this just coming back straight. I do not need like the existing Chorf army remade. That's just boring and put it in the old world where it belongs. Like do something imaginative with it and then fine. That's fine. If you're just going to do like a little minor thing, that's when they go into S2D.
Like a dark KO.
Yeah, sure. Like if you make them, if you really fully expand them, if you give them like, really interesting, horrible chaos machines, right? That they have crafted, like nightmare machines, right?
Yep.
And they themselves have both like interesting weapons and firearms and stuff like that they've made. That they have like interesting heavy infantry and things like that are forged of like really interesting chaos materials. Then
what if they were a pure gold faction for chaos only?
Sure, like I could see it. It's fine. Again, like there's lots of ways you could execute on the thing. What I am saying is very simply, if you're going to do it, then please do it in a really interesting way. Like yes, exactly. Yep. Enslaved demons, chaos engines, right? Like elemental stuff in there. Like I'm pro the stuff. I don't need reprints that could just be a made to order weekend for the old world. I don't need that. Sure. Okay. That's boring. If you're going to do it, then make it some AOS thing that makes me go, whoa. The foundries of chaos that have burned for thousands of years in the mortal realms. This is the nightmares that roll from those factories. Right? Sure. That's what I want to see. So, at any rate, what I think what I'm saying is just like I think what a lot of people want is just the old army again, and I have no interest in that. That's what I'm saying.
Agreed.
All right, cool. Well, we went a little longer than I thought we would today, given that it's Christmas. It's not that I wouldn't love to sit here and hang out with everybody all day, but I do think probably my wife wants to open her Christmas gifts. She's going to be sitting there waiting for me. So
I'm getting text as we speak.
Indeed. So hey. Listen, everybody, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Happy whatever you're celebrating. Happy first day of Hanukkah, all of that. If nothing else, this is the last full week of the year. We'll be back on New Year's Day. That'll be a fun show as well. We'll be bringing in 2025, whatever the heck year it is. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Next year. I hope everybody has a really relaxing, peaceful week. I hope you get to spend it with your family. I hope you maybe get some hobby time in for yourself, maybe with your family. I hope you get to play some games. I hope it's just a nice, relaxing, happy, peaceful week as we bring it into a tumultuous year for many people. And I wish nothing but the best for all of you. Thank you all so much for coming on this journey with us this year. We'll be back in 2025. So thank you all. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and do those things on your way out. Support the show if you want. There's links down below, our Patreon, our merch store, all the affiliate links. If you've got some of that Christmas money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to pick up some hobby stuff, lots of affiliate links down there that'll let you save money and really help support the channel. So thank you for all of that. And as always, we appreciate you watching. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Merry Christmas.